When New Jersey voted to permit gambling casinos in Atlantic City, state officials talked confidently of being able to keep organized crime off Atlantic City's famous boardwalk. But criminals began early trying to muscle in, and there was bloodshed. Stephen Fraser's report tonight is on the difficulty the state has had in trying to keep the racketeers away.
Atlantic City, June 1977. New Jersey Governor Brendan Byrne signed a law paving the way for casinos. Byrne told the mob to stay away.
Keep your filthy hands out of Atlantic City. Keep the hell out of our state.
But organized crime didn't. State police say the mob is increasingly active in Atlantic City. They say the fight for control of illegal activity here has grown into the biggest gangland war since the days of Chicago's Al Capone. So far, there's no evidence that the casinos themselves have been infiltrated. But authorities say unions with ties to organized crime are trying to organize casino security guards and have already organized hotel and restaurant workers and roofers.
So if organized crime comes in and controls the unions, they have a stranglehold around the casino.
Police say the mob is also involved in businesses that provide the casinos with parking, food, liquor, and vending machines.
You could have the cleanest casino in the world, managed by a staff from St. Patrick's Cathedral, but if they had to buy their cigarette machines from organized crime, then organized crime would have a hold on a casino.
The concern is that given a foothold inside the casinos, the mob could expand its influence to shake down the owners for some of the millions of dollars made on the casino floor. The high stakes have prompted a struggle between organized crime families in Philadelphia and New York. March 1980, Philadelphia mob boss Angelo Bruno was shot as he sat in his car. The murder is still under investigation, but the Justice Department has filed papers in court reporting that 3 different informants say this man ordered the murder, Frank Thierry. He is described by the Justice Department as the most powerful mob boss in New York. Thierry, weakened by a recent illness, denies responsibility for the Bruno murder. But New Jersey police say Bruno's successor tried to make peace with Thierry's people. The new head of the Bruno crime family came to this street in New York City to talk with the Gambino and Genovese families about sharing control of Atlantic City. The peace talks failed. 5 more men were executed before year's end, including an Atlantic City union leader with ties to organized crime. 11 days ago, Bruno's successor was killed. Philip Testa, the Philadelphian whom police said tried to make peace, died as a bomb destroyed his home. Police say the current mob boss in Atlantic City is still a Philadelphian, Nick Scarfo, and they say his life could be in jeopardy from the New York mob.
If I was Nicholas Scarfo, I certainly wouldn't start to read a long novel unless I was a speed reader.
Interest in Atlantic City is not confined to East Coast crime families. State police say a lot of real estate in the city's run-down neighborhoods is being bought by mobsters from Toronto who are laundering underworld money from other parts of the world.
At one time we made some kind of a trace, and I think we came up with 62 parcels of property that they had purchased in the Atlantic County and Atlantic City area.
So underworld activity in Atlantic City grows, despite Governor Byrne's warning and despite a major effort by New Jersey to fight it. The state passed the toughest casino control act in the world. It spends $20 million a year and uses 700 people to keep the casinos clean. The mob might not control casinos, but it has them under siege.
They come at us from all sides every day.
Stephen Fraser, NBC News, Atlantic City.
And as Charles Murphy reports, in one large city, mob murders are becoming almost routine.
In this business, there's only one law you gotta follow to keep out of trouble. Do it first, do it yourself, and keep on doing it.
That was Hollywood, but in the last couple of years, it could have been Philadelphia. 16 members of the Philadelphia underworld have been killed in a gangland civil war. Angelo Bruno, head of the family, killed by a shotgun blast. Phil Chicken Man Testa, Bruno's successor, blown up on his front porch. Rocco Marinucci, suspected of blowing up Testa, shot 9 times, firecrackers stuffed in his mouth. Frank Narducci, prominent Bruno family member, shot 10 times.
I don't think this country has seen anything like what Philadelphia is seeing since the days of Prohibition since the days when Al Capone was in charge of the Chicago family.
And this in the city of William Penn, the Quaker, who chose for it a name that means brotherly love.
They certainly don't seem to have any brotherly love between each other. Just a lot of brutality and a lot of murder.
Between 1959 and 1980, when Angelo Bruno allegedly ran the family from this South Philly row house, there were no killings. He was the classic godfather.
He was a nice guy, okay? He was great.
Police think younger family members who wanted to make more money faster got impatient and got rid of Bruno, and that started the string of killings. Although most of the killings have taken place in Philadelphia, this is what they're fighting for, the big money along this boardwalk. Casinos came to Atlantic City, only 50 miles from Philadelphia, in 1978. Last year, the 9 casinos here grossed $1.1 billion, half the take of Nevada's 200. The lure of that big money has drawn organized crime to Atlantic City. A former member of the Philadelphia family, his identity concealed, recently told a U.S. Senate committee what Atlantic City means to his old associates.
Did they ever mention the figure of how much money they expected to make?
Nobody knew the exact figure, but it had to be a hell of a lot, Senator, because everybody put up $500,000 apiece.
New Jersey tries hard to keep the underworld out of the casinos, but officials suspect the mob has muscled its way into some of the construction contracts that have changed the look of this old resort. Law enforcement officials say mob-run companies have also tried to take over the business of supplying hotels with food and beverages. The New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement has tied Local 54, which represents 10,000 hotel and casino workers, to organized crime. The union denies the connection.
With a casino that is grossing upwards to, and sometimes over $1 million a day during the busy season, there's quite a bit of leverage there that a corrupt union could possibly improperly invoke against a casino operation.
Law enforcement officials say this man, Nicodemo Little Nicky Scarfo, has effectively run Local 54 for a number of years, and that this power has helped him take over the Philadelphia crime family. Some say he has also been helped by a New York City crime family.
Everybody in the street knows that if you take on Little Nicky and you're successful in taking him out, killing him, that you're going to have the Genovese family to contend with. That's one heck of an insurance policy.
Until recently, Scarfo lived at his mother's boarding house in Atlantic City. He professes to be a patriot who loves his country and its Constitution. He took the Fifth Amendment 32 times at a recent state hearing.
Mr. Scarfo, what do you do for a living?
I respectfully decline to answer on the grounds of the Fifth Amendment.
Scarfo had been out on bail pending an appeal of a gun possession conviction, but last week his bail was revoked and he's now in federal prison. But it's expected the violence in Philadelphia will continue.
I think there's going to be a lot more killings before it finally does stop in Philadelphia.
There's too much at stake in Philadelphia and Atlantic City, and the people fighting for it are very greedy. Charles Murphy, ABC News, Atlantic City.